God's provision in our life. And as I look back over our lives, I was teaching this as a Bible study for a group of women one time. And all the classes were over, and I was just asking for feedback and comments and thoughts. And this lady spoke up and she said, if God ever called me to move as many times as he called you to move, she said, I can't even move my house from my house, let alone move from a city to city and state to state. I was like, oh, okay. And I remember Paul saying one time after we read the book, boy, we had a lot of need in our life. And I'm like, yeah, we did. And I'd like to share 2 of those stories with you. We were in upstate New York, and this one is called Grandma Brown's Baked Beans. Now, I always ask when I share this, how many of you know what Grandma Brown's Baked Beans are? Grandma Brown's Baked Beans. Okay, I have to preface the story by telling you all they are is Grandma boiled the beans, and all that mush after they boiled down is put into a can and sold on the store. That's it. No spices, no seasoning, nothing. Grandma Brown's Baked Beans. If I was going to make baked beans, and they'd be classified as mine, I would put some spices in them, and I'd put some ketchup in them. You know, I'd do something to them. But here's Grandma Brown's Baked Beans. We were in upstate New York. We were really struggling financially. Our church, when we went up to upstate New York, had 3 senior citizens, and we were 3 very young people starting out in the ministry. It was winter when we went up there, and so a lot of times we canceled church, and a lot of times Paul preached to myself and our daughter on Sunday nights especially. So you could never count on an offering being there. And we were supposed to get a little bit of percentage of the offering to kind of help, you know, pay our bills. And it was bad. And we had looked in the checking account on this Saturday before Easter. All I had in the house was Grandma Brown's, 1 can of Grandma Brown's baked bean, 1 can. And we had to feed 3 people for 2 days. And this isn't a great big, you know, those big 5-gallon cans of anything. It probably stood about that high, was maybe that big around. And again, do you remember what I said about the beans? They had no seasoning in them. And we had nothing in our house. And our checkbook, you want to guess what the balance was?
0.
3, oh no, we were better than that. We had 3 cents.
3 cents.
3 cents. Now where are you gonna go and write a check out for 3 cents, right?
But that's like 0.
That's like 0. It is like 0. I am standing there.
Can't even buy anything from Aldi.
I'm stirring the Grandma Brown's baked beans. I don't know why, because I didn't have any ketchup. I just was stirring them, heating them up, going, okay, I don't know how we're gonna do this. It's gonna be rations, you know? Here's a tablespoon for you, tablespoon for you, tablespoon for you. Don't ask for more, that's all we have, you know? And that's gonna be lunch, dinner one day, and lunch, dinner the next day. Because even though it was Easter Sunday the next day, that was when stores weren't open on Sunday. So there was no grocery store to go pick up anything, okay?
With that 3 cents.
With that 3 cents. Even if we had a couple dollars in the offering, it wasn't gonna make any difference because we couldn't go. So for 2 days, 4 meals, 3 people. I was just at the peak of lack of faith because I'm standing stirring and I'm going, God! He's getting his sermon ready for Easter, but I'm standing going, God, you see these beans? I have nothing to put in them. God, I don't think you know our name. I don't think you know where we live. I don't think you're hearing me, God. You put your hearing aid in, God. You're not listening. This is all we have. You don't know my address either, so you're not sending anybody. There's nobody coming. God, please, I don't know how to stretch this. You're going to have to feed the multitudes. You're going to have to multiply this food so we can eat for 2 days, and not know how you're going to do it. I just, God, please. A knock came on the door. Now, okay, at that point, I'm not thinking it's anything. I'm not thinking God has come to supply our need. I went to answer the door, and Paul, he tended for a mason in upstate New York. occasionally.
Stonemason.
Upstate New York, whatever. No, not that other kind of mason. Stonemason. Thank you for correcting me. He tended him and helped him on jobs, and he comes in, and the two of them start talking. I decided to turn the burner off, and I'm just gonna kind of listen from the sidelines, and he also used to type, the man loved to write stories, so he would even type up his stories for a whole whopping 10 cents a page. And that was on the Smith Corona, so, this way, and you make a mistake, there goes the white out, all that stuff. You remember those days. And so they're talking and conversing, and I'm kind of watching from the sidelines. All of a sudden, I kind of noticed him pull something out of his coat pocket. And he said, I don't go to church. I don't even think he professed to be a Christian. But he said, I've made it a practice in my life to save dimes. And he said, if somebody's name comes to mind, he said, then I take them the dimes. And he laid the bag of dimes out on the table. And then it's beginning to click. Oh, I didn't think God heard me. But God sent a man who didn't even really profess to be a Christian or attend church to meet our needs. Oh, now I'm feeling like, oh, thank you, God. I'm really sorry. Thank you. Have you ever had times when God walked right in on a situation when you didn't have an ounce of faith? I know God honors faith, and we better have faith, but there are times when we don't have faith for that particular thing. Well, that's what happened that day. So after the gentleman left, we dumped out all the dimes. Didn't know how many it was going to be. We knew it was more than 3 cents, though. So we started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's $1. And we continued until we counted $10 worth of dimes. And back in the early 70s, $10 worth of dimes. The only person that wasn't happy about that was the person at the checkout, because she had to recount all those $10 worth of dimes. But God came on the scene when I didn't have any faith at all.